Hey everybody, I am Bradimus, and today we are going to discuss the 2023 Philadelphia Eagles season, how it started off so well-ish, and ended off on the worst notes you could possibly hope for. But we are in the playoffs, so let's take a look at the regular season, how we got to the playoffs, and maybe some things we can do in the playoffs to turn things around. So week one, New England Patriots, we won 25-20. I would have hoped for a little bit more production from our offense, but it was the first week of the season. The starters did not play in the preseason. I expected some rust, and that's what we got. Came out with the victory, can't complain. Let's go to week two. Minnesota Vikings at Philadelphia. We pull off another win, 34-28. That game was a little bit better of a showing, must admit. Although our defense let up another 8 points compared to the Patriots. But I would say the Vikings are a better team overall than the Patriots. They have a better quarterback, better receivers. Even though they were without Justin Jefferson, Addison proved himself to be very capable, at least for this, next 4 games or so while Justin Jefferson was out. So it's hard for us to game plan for Addison, but you got to do what you got to do. Ended up with the win. Can't complain there. Next week, week 3, this is an important one. We win 25-11 at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is important because week 1 playoffs, we are playing the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. Now, we are a different team than we were when we played them in week 3. And Tampa Bay, I would argue, is a little bit better than they were in week 3. They're not the most dominant team out there. They're the 4th seed because they won their division. That's not saying much. NFC South was a struggle this year. Nobody was impressive. Tampa Bay was the most impressive of that pile of it's not really garbage, but they just weren't very good in that division. But we still got away with a 25-11 win. Pretty decent showing, I would say. Again, I would have hoped for a little bit more production from our offense, but 25 points is nothing to be upset about. That's a 2-score game right there. Pretty decent win for us. That gives us some confidence going into the playoffs, knowing that we've played that team and beat them before. Week 4, Washington Commanders. This was a final overtime game. Now, it was overtime because one of our biggest weaknesses on defense is our pass defense. And when they had the ball with, I can't remember, about a minute left, I knew that they were just going to score. I mean, maybe I was just being pessimistic, but we cannot stop people throwing the ball on us. I don't know what it is, but they drove down the field, scored literally with 0 seconds on the clock, tied the game, put it into overtime. We were able to win in overtime, got the W. It's a tough-fought game between the Eagles and Commanders every single time, but you don't like going into overtime. You want a nice statement win. This was not it. Commanders were not that great of a team this year. We just came off from the Super Bowl. We were supposed to be a lot better, and you don't want to see you going into overtime, especially against divisional opponents. Week 5 at Los Angeles Rams. This game, they got Cooper Kupp back. He was I think injured the first 4 weeks of the season. We actually shut them down in the second half. First half, I was not happy. I thought they were going to walk all over us. Cooper Kupp just made things look easy. And all of a sudden, we shut them down in the second half. I don't know what happened. They stopped going to Cooper Kupp or something. But whatever they did in that game, they need to look at that again, because stopping that offense, they're on fire right now. I'll tell you, I don't want to face the Rams in the playoffs. They look good. So right here, we win by 9 points. That is a 2-score game. So that was an impressive win by us, but I still would have hoped for more out of our offense than what we got that game. Week 6, our first loss. We were actually the last undefeated team in the league. 49ers were also, but they lost earlier in the day, so we technically were the last undefeated team. But dropping the game to the Jets. The Jets were not a good team. They had a really strong defense, but half their defense was injured. How do we drop that game? You don't. I guess you can call it a trap game. The weather was bad. Whatever you want to say. It was a disappointment. Again, though, we were actually winning with less than 2 minutes left, I want to say. And we made a bad throw, picked off by the defense. They ended up scoring a touchdown. We actually let them score a touchdown to hopefully give us more time to drive down and catch up. But, I mean, we could have held them to a field goal. So the final score could have been 15-14, which would have maybe looked a little better for us. But we wouldn't have been able to really do anything if we let them kick a field goal. I still think we should have let them kick a field goal, but that would have given us 30 seconds to drive down and kick our own field goal. I think we could have done it. Obviously, we didn't do much that game offensively, but we have the tools. We could have driven down into field goal range. Jake Elliott, he nailed a 60-yarder, 58, 59-yarder against the Giants in terrible weather. Or no, against the Bills in terrible weather. We could have gone for a long field goal. It is what it is. We dropped that one. It's all right. We were still 5-1. Moving on to week 7. This was probably the Eagles' best game of the season. Against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins looked like they were on fire. You cannot stop their offense. Tua throwing it to Hill. You got to be kidding me. I mean, those two just dynamite. I mean, I believe they're the number 1 offense overall, and they were just great. And we stopped them. 17 points. How do you do that to the Dolphins? I don't know. Turns out they didn't do too well against teams with winning records this year, but you can't deny they have one very potent offense. Us putting 31 points up against them only doing 17. They put up, 70 points against the Broncos? I mean, that team can score. That team can score. Broncos have a better defense than we do. It's not as good as they used to be, but 70 points against them. That's how good the Miami Dolphins offense can be. But good statement win for us right there. That's what we needed. We came back to visit the Washington Commanders in Week 8. We won by 1 score. Really, the score was like 24-31. That should have been the final score. We had the ball, I think it was like inside 2 minutes. I'm pretty sure the Commanders didn't have any timeouts, and all we needed was a first down. We were inside like the 10-yard line, and DeAndre Swift runs it in for the touchdown. We go up by 2 scores. Great, that's awesome. I didn't like it. We should have ended the game right then and there. He should have kneeled the ball. He could have even gone out of bounds. Stop the clock. We would have been able to kill the clock. There's nothing Washington could have done at that point. Even if we couldn't have killed the clock, we could have ran the clock as much as we could have for another 3 plays, and then kick a field goal to make it another 2-score game anyways. And then Washington would have even less time to score twice to catch up to us. In the end, it still worked out for us, so that's good. But I think it posed an unnecessary health risk to our defense mostly because Washington went out there and tried to catch up to us. I don't think any injuries happened, but it's plays that should never have had to have been done when we had the win locked up. So I hope that they can learn from that. I know they were stoked, and it's always a motivation thing when you score a touchdown, but I really want us to start playing smarter football. That's my big thing. Week 9, Cowboys come to Philly. We win 28-23. This is when things start getting a little shaky for us. We're in the middle of our gauntlet. Dolphins, Commanders. I know Commanders weren't a great team, but division rivalries, you always play each other tough. It's not going to be easy. We go to the Cowboys come to Philly. Then we Chiefs, Bills, 49ers, Cowboys again. We're in the thick of things week 9, right? And we get another win. But you start noticing some issues on our defense. They can't really stop the other team. Other teams are more stopping themselves than anything. Dak Prescott stepping out of bounds just by a toe on that one drive. That, it's a mistake on the Cowboys. They could have, if they didn't do that, I mean, you never know how the game would have ended, but it would have been a different ballgame if that didn't happen. That one little play. We also had a good stop on 4th down, right on the goal line. That is very debated, I guess you can say, by people all over. The guy was down. He wasn't in the end zone. He had possession of the ball. His knee was down. He wasn't being tackled before he caught the ball. You're allowed to touch the receiver. Pass interference, if you look at the definition in the rule book, it's when you make an impactful hits or something on the guy that would actually impair his ability to catch the ball, And you can still do a pass interference and they could still catch the ball, but the way our defender was playing it, he wasn't doing anything impactful. He had his arm around his waist. He wasn't turning him. You have to turn him for it to be a pass interference call. He wasn't tackling him. He was already going to the ground. They were both going to the ground together. We can look at the video and discuss it more. It was not a touchdown. It was a good stop by our defender. Let's see here. Week 10 was our much-needed bye week before the real thick of things. Going to Kansas City, Super Bowl rematch. We get the win, 21-17. I was not expecting us to win that game. I was stoked when we did. A lot of people are saying the better team lost. Although if you look back on the season, I don't think they're going to say that much anymore because the Kansas City Chiefs were not as good as they were last year. They have a lot of issues. Their record was, I believe, the same as ours at the end of the season. So I don't think the better team lost that game. The better team definitely won. The Kansas City Chiefs all season long have had issues with their receivers catching the ball. Undeniable. And that is how we won the game. On 4th down, with seconds left in the game, they dropped the ball on a 4th and it was a pretty long pass, like 25-yard pass, 4th and 15 or something. But he dropped the ball. Eagles get the win. Better team won that game. Chiefs, I don't think it's your year. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. I think the Ravens are looking pretty good. Week 12, we have the Buffalo Bills come to Philly. We pull off the overtime win again, where they kick a field goal in overtime. We drive down and score a touchdown in overtime. Great win. It was a tough game, bad weather. We definitely seemed like we struggled on offense and defense. It's Josh Allen. Everyone's going to struggle against him on defense. I'm actually surprised we held the Chiefs to 17 points, but like I said, their receivers, they'll drop anything. Buffalo Bills, they haven't been playing as well this year either, but I'm not upset that they put up 34 points. We fought them all the way. We fought them more in the second half than we did the first half, and that's the same thing as the Chiefs and I think the Cowboys, even the Commanders. I think we're down by like 10 points in like each one of those games at halftime or so. But we came back, got the W. That's what matters. And then everything falls apart. Week 13, the 49ers come to Philly and dismantle us 42-19. You can just see the players giving up. It's like they forgot how to tackle. The offense was just anemic. Just nothing went right, and it looks like they gave up. I admit they were probably tired after going through this lineup: Dolphins, Commanders, Cowboys, Chiefs, and Bills. And one of them was an overtime game. The Commanders, that one was not the overtime game. I mean, that's a lot of work to do. So I can excuse them a little bit, but getting just absolutely destroyed, you got to be kidding me. We were completely outcoached that game. And this is where things really start to fall apart. We come here to Dallas Cowboys, same thing, 13-33, in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. Dallas is a better team in Dallas, but you can't lose to a division rival when you're the in first place in the division. You can't lose to them 13-33. You just can't. That's I don't know, just bad news. Bad news. Our defense has been getting exposed. We can't tackle. We can't cover. Bradbury's just, I don't know. Maybe he's too old. He's lost like 6 steps or something. But yeah, we dropped it to the Cowboys. And that puts us at 3 losses on the season. We are still 10-3. That's not too shabby, right? Come down to the Seahawks. This is a game we should have won. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And look at that, 17-20 loss. You got to be kidding me. Now, we can talk about some things here. We actually would have won that game if not for, I think Devonta Smith had a fumble. Just a couple bad plays by our offense. Goddard slipped and fell. I believe that was that game. And the defender was right there. Great play by the defender to pick it off, and he got the pick 6, right? But if Goddard doesn't slip, that's not an interception. I mean, even if it was incomplete, and you never know what happens, but I mean, we gave them most of their points. Now, they did have to drive at the end of the game to still beat us. And Bradbury was picked on. I mean, I don't know how he still has a job after that game. I mean, every single pass on that final drive was against Bradbury, and including the touchdown pass. And so that's how we lost that game. We managed to pull it back together against the Giants, 33-25. Still wasn't an impressive win. There was a lot wrong with our team. Our defense is being exposed. Our offense just wasn't clicking. We still managed 33 points. Looks good, but it was just clear as day. There was something wrong with us, mostly on the defense. But the problem is with our offense, we have the tools to beat any team in this league. And we were struggling here. Because look at this next week. Week 17, Arizona Cardinals. We lose 31-35. We dropped a game to the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a bad team this year. They're not good. And we dropped it. Our defense let them pass all over us. We couldn't do anything. Our offense, 31 points total. It's just not enough when your defense allows a touchdown on like literally every single play. How do you let that happen? I mean, I know there's only so much you can do, but yeah, I mean, you can't. That was a game we had to have won. I mean, we win these last 2 games, we're the number 2 seed. We go from number 2 seed to number 5th seed because we drop these 2 games. That's right here. 2 very winnable games. Now we're the number 5 seed because week 18, New York Giants at MetLife, excuse me, at MetLife Stadium, we lost 10-27. We gave up. Actually, we literally did give up. We had starters: DeAndre Swift, Devonta Smith, Fletcher Cox. I don't know if Lane Johnson played. I didn't see him out there. I know we pulled our starters at some point in like the second quarter or something, I think. But we pulled our starters after A.J. Brown went down with an injury. Jalen Hurts hurt his finger. Hopefully his finger's okay for the playoffs. We'll see. I haven't heard much about it, but this game is a little bit more of a excusable because most of our backups were out there. Still, when our starters that we had were out there, we were down like 17-0. It was not impressive. It was not good. Sirianni made the right call. Dallas was going up ahead on Washington, and they were basically locking down the number 2 spot. He made the right call to pull our starters. Even if Dallas was losing, we should have benched our starters because they kept getting hurt. You know, you don't want to go into the playoffs in a essentially meaningless game. We're in the playoffs, you know. You don't want to bench your starters in the hopes that another team might lose. Or you don't want to play your starters in the hopes that another team might lose. So if we won and we were number 2 seed, that's a little bit different. But it wasn't up to us whether we were number 2. I think it was the right move to bench or to sit our starters. It's not benching them, although some of them deserve to be benched. So that's how the regular season went. Lots of issues. Our defensive coordinator was quasi demoted or something. The play calling was taken away from him from Desai and given to Matt Patricia. I have my opinions on that. If there's one coach on the team that I would like to have not be back next season, it is definitely Matt Patricia. Once he took over play calling, our defense literally went from bad to awful. Just, so bad. I don't know what he was doing. He never fixed what he was doing. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So hopefully 2024, Matt Patricia's looking for a different job. But moving on, we still have some football to play. We are not done. We've got Wild Card Weekend, our game, Monday, 8 p.m., against Tampa Bay, in Tampa Bay. It's not going to be an easy game. Tampa Bay is a better team. Let's take a look at the brackets here. We got San Francisco with the bye week at the number 1 slot. We're number 5 seed against Tampa Bay, number 4. As I was saying, they're not the most dominant team. We're definitely the better team. The problem is, will they be able to expose our defense enough that our offense is anemic enough and can't click to a point where they pull out the win? If we play anything like the last 4 games, absolutely we will lose that game. But if our offense chooses to step up, we have the tools. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, DeAndre Swift, Jalen Hurts. We have a really good offensive line. Dallas Goedert. We have the tools on offense to beat any team on this list. We beat most of them, right? Buffalo, Kansas City, Miami. We lost to San Francisco. We did beat Dallas, right? We beat the Rams. We beat Tampa Bay. We beat at least, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams here, right? So not quite half. I mean, we didn't play them all. We didn't play Baltimore, Cleveland, Houston, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Detroit. We didn't play all of them. But of the ones that we did play, I mean, we did end up losing to Dallas in our second game, but we lost to San Francisco straight up. So they're the only team that we have not beat that we played. We can beat any one of these teams. If our offense starts clicking, if we can figure out hot routes, right? Jalen Hurts has been getting blitzed like crazy because he's struggling against the blitz. Whether he's not seeing it, the play call's bad, I don't know what the deal is. He is struggling against the blitz, and that teams are just running the blitz abnormally high on us, and that's how they're beating us. So if we can fix how we play against the blitz, I mean, there's play calls, there's hot routes. I mean, there's ways to beat the blitz. You just have to recognize it and you have to execute it. And it's not hard to execute. Jalen Hurts can easily do it. He just hasn't been. So we'll see. My best case scenario here: we beat Tampa Bay, Rams beat Detroit. Obviously, I would love to see Green Bay beat Dallas. I don't know. I don't think Green Bay will. I think the Rams could easily beat Detroit. I think Detroit could easily beat the Rams. We'll see. That'll be a fun game to watch. Um, that's a toss up to me. I would love to see the Rams win because then they would go and play San Francisco the next week, and that'll be a fun game to watch. If we win, we would play either Dallas or Detroit. So if Detroit ends up winning, or no, we would play Dallas. If Detroit ends up winning, they would play no. Let's see here. If we win, Detroit wins, Dallas wins. Okay, so we would play San Francisco, Detroit, and Dallas play each other. I don't want that. Detroit, sorry, you need to lose. Gotta have the Rams. Gotta have the Rams. So let's say the Rams win, Dallas wins, Philly wins, San Francisco. We would play Dallas, Rams play San Francisco. Woo-wee. That'd be quite the divisional round there. Let's take a quick look at AFC before we end this video. I think Baltimore is the strongest team in the playoffs. Not gonna lie, they haven't looked outright dominant. San Francisco's looked outright dominant sometimes, but they also can get exposed. Brock Purdy's a great quarterback. He's not that great though. He benefits. You can't deny it. He benefits from a pretty good offensive line. Trent Williams on the left. I mean, he's one of the best left tackles in the league. He's got Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. They got pretty good receivers. He's benefiting from a great team. Not that he's a bad quarterback. I'm not saying he's bad or a fraud or anything. I've actually been really impressed with how he's playing. But he kind of reminds me of Alex Smith. He's a don't do anything wrong, let the rest of the team take care of business type of quarterback. He's not the type of quarterback that's going to go and win you games by himself, right? So I think Baltimore is the better team overall compared to San Francisco. They've looked consistently stronger than San Francisco has. San Francisco probably peaks higher, but I think as an overall ball team, Baltimore, that's the number one team in the league. Then we got Cleveland and Houston. Cleveland's got a strong defense. I'm not very impressed by them overall. I have my opinions about Cleveland. I'm not going to get into that, but they're a competitive team. They're a playoff team. They're not a Super Bowl team. Houston, I would say the same thing. Houston kind of got in by luck of being the best team in their bad division. Same with Tampa Bay. Houston's not a bad team, but they've got a ways to go if they ever want to get to the Super Bowl. Stroud is looking good though. Maybe they got their quarterback. We'll see. Miami and Kansas City. Woohoo! This is going to be my game to watch for the AFC this weekend. I'm hoping for a shootout. That'll be fun to watch. It'll probably end up being like 17-10. But I'm hoping for a shootout. We'll watch that. Let's see what happens. Pittsburgh and Buffalo. How did Pittsburgh get in? How? They're number 7 seed. This is kind of the part where you're like, well, should there really be a number 7 seed? Green Bay, not really impressive either. Exactly half of the teams, right? Or what do we got? 14, not almost half of the teams, not half. Making the playoffs would be half of the teams making the playoffs would be a little much. 14 is probably a decent amount. 12 I think was better, but I kind of like when the number 1 teams are the only ones with the bye because they earned it. You know, the number 2 teams they might not necessarily have earned it, but the number 1 teams they earn that bye spot. Number 2 teams, I don't know, maybe 17 playoff or 7 team per conference playoffs is the way to go. Yeah, we'll see. But when it comes to like Pittsburgh, that's not very impressive. How did they make the playoffs? It makes you wonder, do we have the best setup out there? Because they had the 7th best record, right? There wasn't a team that didn't make the playoffs that had a better record. So like Houston made the playoffs number 4 seed because they were the worst or best team in the bad conference. Pittsburgh made the playoffs by merit, technically. Houston I'm not saying they didn't make it by merit. I'm saying they, should they be the 4th seed? I don't know. Pittsburgh should definitely be the 7th seed. Pittsburgh against Buffalo, that should be a good game to watch. Two teams that I've always imagined historically being the smash mouth type football. I don't think Pittsburgh's really that anymore, but Najee Harris, he could be that. He just doesn't seem like he is, though. We'll see. I don't know. Overall, if I had to make a playoff prediction for this round 1, I'll just start with round 1. I'm going Houston over Cleveland. I'm going to say it, Miami over Kansas City. Miami's going to start clicking. I know they had some issues the last few weeks, same as the Eagles. I think they pull it together for the playoffs. Buffalo over Pittsburgh. Then I'm going Philly over Tampa Bay. Can't pick Tampa Bay there. This is a good one. I'm going to go with Rams. But I think they'll lose in the second round. Detroit, you're good. You're good. You got a little bit more to go to get to the Super Bowl. But you're good. I like where you guys are at. And then, but I just think the Rams are hot right now. So I think the Rams are going to pull ahead. And then Dallas over Green Bay. I don't see Green Bay beating Dallas. I would love it if Dallas did, but I just don't see it happen. Anyways, those are my picks then in my 2023 regular season recap. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like and subscribe for more videos. And we'll see you guys next week after the first round, and we'll see how I did. Take care.